Hey guys, so today I will be teaching you how to use the if and nested if statements in Excel files. To have a quick background about these two statements, the if function helps you in returning one value if the condition is true and another value if the condition is false. Nested if is usually used if you need to test more than one condition and return different results. In short, nested if statements are just several if statements. So, here we have the student number, names, the GWA. Take note these GWA are just examples. Next is we have to identify if the student is passing or failing, what their current allowance is, if their current allowance will increase, decrease, or retain, what will their new allowance be, and what they will eat for the weekend. And here we have the remarks. These remarks will help us in identifying the different conditions that we will be needing. So let's start. Just to have a short recap, let's freshen our minds on how to use the if statement. We always must start with an equal sign and then the word if. Don't forget the open parenthesis. It is already stated that we must start with the logical test. And then the value if true, which is passing, and then the value if false, which is failing. So we click the cell C5, which is this one, and then in the remarks you will see the conditions. So if C5 is greater than or equal to 75, comma, it will print the word passing, comma, then if this condition is false, it will just place the word failing. Don't forget the closing parenthesis. Press enter and there you have it. So that you don't have to type the formula one by one, all you have to do is just to drag it all the way down and there you have it. So now you can see the students who are passing and failing. Now let's move on to nested if. So like what I said earlier, nested if is just a combination of if conditions. So we start again with an equal sign, then the word if, and then the open parenthesis, then the logical test. This remark will help us in identifying that what will be placed in the conditions. So if C5 is greater than or equal to 90, then it will print the word increase allowance, comma, and then we insert another if statement, if, open parenthesis. So we check the second condition. So if C5 is greater than or equal to 75, then it will print retain allowance. Then if both conditions are false, it will print the word decrease allowance. And here we use two parentheses, so we should also end it with two closing parentheses. Then enter, then we just drag it all the way down, and there you have it. You can now see who will retain, increase, or decrease the allowance. Let's move on to identifying what their new allowance will be. So we use another nested if statement, equal sign, the word if, open parenthesis. If C5 is greater than or equal to 90, take note, we will be using a formula here. Then E5 will increase by 300, and then comma, another if statement, if, open parenthesis, C5 is greater than or equal to 75, since allowance will just retain, E5 will be multiplied by 1. And if these two conditions are false, E5 will decrease by 100. Don't forget the two parentheses since we have to open parentheses. And then enter, and then drag it all the way down. So yeah, you see, for the last student, his allowance will increase by 300, so 700 plus 300 is 1000. Students who will retain allowance still have the same allowance, and then decrease, just subtract by 100. And then last is we want to know what the students will be eating for the weekend. We will use the last remark, last remark as a guide. So equal sign, if, open parenthesis, so G5, if G5 is greater than or equal to 1300, it will print, I will eat at a buffet. And then don't forget the quotation mark, comma, the next condition is if, open parenthesis, G5 is greater than or equal to 1000, it will print, I will just buy fast food. And then if these two conditions are false, it will print, I will just cook. And then quotation mark, and then two closing parentheses. So let's have a recap before finding out if this will work. So if the first condition is true, it will print this. And if the first condition is false, the second condition will be printed, this one. And if both conditions are false, it will print the last condition. So let's now take a look if this one is right. So enter, and then let's drag it all the way down, and there. So for the first student, she has an allowance of 1500, which means she can eat at a buffet. For the second and third student, their allowance is less than 1000, so they will just be cooking the food for the weekend. And then the fourth student is the same with the first student, who will just eat at the buffet. And the last two students will just buy fast food. So here, I hope you guys learned, and I hope you will be able to use this as a guide when you're using Excel.
I got these friends.
Thank you for listening.
Never seen you before.